Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Creatrix. And today I have a wonderful message from the powerful, profound Leviathan himself. Okay, and I'm gonna call him a him because he presents to me as a masculine energy, but of course, all of these ancient beautiful entities are pretty much androgynous and they both embody masculine and feminine energy. Okay, so yes, I am speaking about Leviathan, the one in the Bible, the ruler or the one that causes jealousy and envy and rules over that. Okay, so we're going to talk about the true nature of Leviathan just to get that out the way, because I know that name, that entity will trigger some people to feel uneasy, okay, when in actuality Leviathan is actually an unconditional loving being that is, his energy is present on this realm to help us understand and understand ourselves even better, okay, for us to be able to grow into the beings that we have the potential to be. Okay, so yeah, Leviathan is a marine spirit. All right, he is a mer creature. You can consider him a mer spirit. All right, he is very much well known in the religious realm, okay, as a quote unquote demon. All right, if you have not watched my video about demons and how demons don't actually exist, right, that is a concept that humans have created to categorize entities that use our shadow in order to kind of corner us and trick us into positions to where we have to grow, to where we have to evolve. Okay, and in all honesty, all entities do this. Okay, I'm talking about the ones that we even consider angels. All right, the ones that that belong to all of the pantheons, the light beings and the shadow beings, the dark beings, the in-between beings. They all use the energy of being tricksters, tricking us into our spot, all right, tricking us into our backs against the wall in order for us to be able to grow. So in actuality, angels are demons and demons are angels, and vice versa, depending on the perceiver, us, right? Depending on whether or not we like the tactics that are being used on us, we will consider that entity a demon or an angel. Okay, but it doesn't matter, because all in all, those entities or those tactics that are being used on us are meant to help us reach the best version of ourselves. Okay, so Leviathan is no different, and like I said, I'm going to refer to him as a he. All right, but once again, he is not a masculine only energy. All right, he is both masculine and feminine, but just for the sake of communication and language, I'm going to refer to him as a he. All right, so Leviathan is an entity that uses envy and jealousy, that strikes envy and jealousy in our hearts, or at least mirrors that back to us, mirrors that energy to us, or pulls that energy out of us for us to be able to realize that what we are experiencing, what we are seeing, that is the target of our envy or jealousy, that is the center of it, is actually something that we want for ourselves. Okay, and I know that envy and jealousy are not the same thing, okay, but they are similar. I think jealousy is when, like, you want something all to yourself and you're jealous when somebody is around that thing, that is acquiring that thing. And envy is when you want to be in somebody's position, in somebody's spot, I believe. All right, if I'm wrong, you can correct me or whatever, but yeah, I'll probably Google it after this video, but that's how I'm going to refer to envy and jealousy. All right, but Leviathan uses both of those energies to be able to show us what it is that we truly want for ourselves. Okay, it's a mirror to reflect back to us confirmation. It's a mirror to reflect back to us the path that we are meant to go down on. Okay, now for me, myself, I have personally experienced jealousy and envy. So for the most part, for the almost the entirety of my life, up until very recently, up until I got into one of the most, you can call it toxic relationships that I've ever had in my life, but it was very revealing and very healing at the same time. Okay, sometimes toxicity can be very healing because it kind of busts us wide open and shows us where we're truly at. Okay, so for me, I've always been like the safe person, the one who was never too loud, the one that, I never experienced jealousy. I never really experienced envy. I never understood those emotions. I never projected them onto other people. I never thought other people were ever envious and jealous of me. Okay. And that's why it's like, sometimes I never understood why people would be so mean to me. People that I consider friends and family, like I never understood why they would be so unkind to me. It was later on down the line that I realized that jealousy and envy can manifest in different ways, because the people who are housing the jealousy and envy, they are not able to meet themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're not able to address it. And so they kind of bury it down, but it will manifest within them as like being abusive towards the target of their jealousy or envy, or being cold, calculated, strategic towards the target of that jealousy or envy, right? And sometimes people don't even do it intentionally, to where, they'll give you a backhanded comment, or they'll downplay your accomplishments, or they'll ignore you to punish you, or it manifests in so many different ways. But the source of all of this can be jealousy and envy that is unaddressed, right, in certain people. So I'm here to tell you, and Leviathan is here to tell you, how to use the energy of envy and jealousy to your benefit, the way that Leviathan is trying to get us to understand it, right? But so many times it gets misconstrued, and we're dealing with trauma, and so a lot of us are immature, right? Like, we're adults, but truly we're still children, and we act on our jealousy in a way that, like, let's say a toddler would, right? I have a toddler right now. When he gets jealous of me, when I pick up another child, or even when I hug my own mom, he will he'll hit me, or he'll cry, or he'll whine, and it's kind of the same thing in adults, because we never learn to address our feelings, our emotions, and ask ourselves, why are we feeling this way? How can we use this to our advantage? How can we heal ourselves, right? So adults also do the same things. They whine, they act out, all right? They want attention, and we don't really understand how to deal with the jealousy and envy. And so that's why Leviathan wants to open this discussion up, so that we will be able to harness and transmute the energies of envy and jealousy, okay, to our benefit, right? So obviously, with the energy of jealousy, when you have like an apple of your eye, right? Let's say you're highly jealous of a specific person, like they are the center of your jealousy. And what I mean by that is, like, you don't want somebody to, be your, let's say you got a significant other, and you're very jealous of them. You don't want them talking to other people. You don't want them hanging out with other people. You don't want them spending their time anywhere else. Like, even if they have a job or a passion or a hobby that they really love doing, you are jealous of that thing, because they're taking away time or attention from you, right? They're taking away time and attention that your person could be giving to you. And so we get people who are jealous in that sense, right? And it kind of reminds us of a toddler, of a child, right? And there is something, right, that happened most likely in your childhood or in the past to make us have, like, let's say if you are jealous, you have an attachment style that was triggered by trauma in your childhood. Okay, and so that's what the jealousy is manifesting as, is you being so attached to somebody or something that you put all of your eggs in one basket, right? Like, that significant other that you are jealous of, right? And that you don't want other people or other things to come in between you and this person. That attachment style comes from something that is triggered in your past. Like, maybe you felt abandoned by a parent, or maybe you felt like people are your source of happiness, right? Like, when you deem that one single person is the source of all of your happiness, all of your excitement, if you are bored if that person is not around you. If you're not fulfilled when that person is not around you or talking to you or whatever the case is, then that is something that you need to look into within yourself, okay? Because being jealous of somebody or not wanting somebody to anything that doesn't involve you or isn't centered around you is a control issue, right? And there are so many different ways that we can release control, okay? And then there's also trust that's going on there as well, like you not being able to trust the universe or trust that person, okay? And trust the universe, when I say trust the universe, I mean trust that the universe will show you everything that you need about that person, right? Like if that person is cheating on you, trust that the universe or your intuition via the universe will show you what's going on, right? And trusting that person that they say what they or that they will do what they say, right? All of those are mirrors that are being reflected back at us in our actions when we experience jealousy, when we act on jealousy, okay? And these are all different scenarios. It could be all of these things. It could be one of these things. So I'm just throwing things out there as I'm getting the uploads in my consciousness, okay? But there are so many different ways and so many different things that manifest when we experience jealousy, especially jealousy centered around one specific person or two specific people. Or maybe you're even like very territorial over all of the people in your life, okay? And just imagine you having to control different people, multiple different people in your life, right? That's extremely exhausting, and you won't be able to sustain that because you yourself have grown to do. You yourself have evolution that you need to do as well, right? So instead of giving in to the temptation of the jealousy, instead of allowing the jealousy to control your emotions and your actions, you allow the jealousy to show you where the healing in your energetic field needs to happen. You allow it to help you pinpoint where in your lifetime you were triggered by this, or where the jealousy could have sprouted from, okay? Whatever trauma it could have sprouted from, okay? That's how we use these energies in our life, because if we become ashamed or embarrassed over the fact that we experience these emotions like jealousy and envy, or any emotion for that matter, then we're prone to suppressing it, right? Because we don't want to feel shame and embarrassment. We don't want to step outside of the box of what society deems acceptable emotions to have, right? So what we do is we suppress it, and when we suppress it, our subconscious gets those things out one way or another, and it usually ends up showing in our actions, in our speech, in the way that we move in life, okay? So the more that you suppress it, the more that those emotions will snowball and snowball and snowball until you cannot ignore them. Okay. And those emotions can even end you up in jail, right? Like, how many people do we know who are in toxic relationships, who are extremely jealous of their significant other, and they end up doing something stupid, violent, aggressive to end up in jail, right? That is the universe holding up a very big mirror up to your face to show you, like, this is who you are, and you've allowed it to get so out of hand because you've refused to address this thing that is just running your whole life. Because the more you suppress something, the more control it has over you. And if you want to relinquish the control that something has over you, then you face it head on, okay? You face it. No matter how shameful, embarrassing, hurtful, painful that it can be, facing it is always the better option, because otherwise, if we resist the evolution and the healing, right, then we will experience suffering, which is the going to jail, which is the toxic relationships, which is the, why can't I feel happy unless this person is giving me attention? Or, why can't I ever find somebody who's only about me? Okay, that's ridiculous. You're never going to find anybody. You're never going to find anybody who is healed that is only about you. That is ridiculous, because they have their own lives, they have their own things going on, they have their own goals, they have their own passions, right? And to be jealous of that is just extremely ridiculous, and you're gonna end up fumbling somebody that you really like. So, but that's just one example, okay? It's not only significant others that we can be jealous of, it's so many different things that we can be jealous of, right? Or territorial over. All right. So yeah, if you experience jealousy, I definitely urge you to figure out where that stems from. Like, why do you have that attachment style? Why do you feel like you have to control somebody? You know, why do you feel like somebody's just going to up and leave in your life? Why do you feel that your happiness, your fulfillment is based off of whether somebody gives you attention, whether somebody acknowledges you, right? Yeah, so look into that. Also, envy, okay? Leviathan uses envy to show us what we desire in our lives, okay? I don't know. Envy, I know envy has a really bad name, but for some reason it's giving me like a real sexy type of energy. Like envy, I don't know, it's giving me green ivy, maybe. Like, I don't know why I'm thinking of green ivy, like the color green, you know, and the green ivy from the Batman world, right? The Batman comics, like, she's a very sexy villain. All right. And oh my God. Okay. I know where Leviathan is going with this. So, Leviathan will purposely put something or someone in your face that will cause you to feel envious in order for you to feel that fire on your ass. All right. Sometimes when we are in resistance of our healing journey, of our growth, right, of our evolution, Leviathan will put somebody in our face, right? Like, let's say, no offense to anybody, okay? But this is the example that's coming up in my mind. Okay, let's say you are a housewife and, you know, you ended up having children early. So maybe you have 3 children and you have a husband and he's a working man. He goes out to work. You're a housewife. You stay home all day. You take care of the children. You're never dressed up. You always kind of look like crap. You always look tired. You got bags under your eyes. Your whole life revolves around your husband and your children. And, you know, like, you really don't have a life outside of that. You don't have hobbies much, but, you know, you like to drink. Yeah, that's your hobby. You like to drink, you know, maybe gossip here and there, but you don't really have friends. Nothing really exciting happens in your life. Every day is routine, same thing over and over again. Okay, and then Leviathan comes along and says, this person is not getting the signals. Okay, their spirit guides have been trying to show them, like, let's do this, let's do that. This is a new way of life. Your spirit guides have been trying to get to you, but you're not listening to them. So Leviathan kind of creeps in and he's like, okay, let's see what happens when I put this chess piece here. And what happens is your husband starts working late and later and later. And then your husband starts even going out on the weekends without you and the kids. And you don't know what's going on. Your husband's acting weird. He doesn't want to be with you anymore. He doesn't want to touch you anymore. He doesn't want to do spicy time anymore. You're getting curious. You're wondering what's going on. So one day you ask your cousin to take care of the kids and you go over to your husband's workplace and you go up to the secretary and you see that there's somebody new. It's not old Bertha who's the secretary anymore. It's hoity-toity, young, beautiful, gorgeous, confident, tea, fresher, right, young woman whose name is Cynthia, all right? And she's your new husband's secretary. And you ask Cynthia, when did you become secretary? Like, when did he hire you? About a month ago. And you start to think about it and you realize a month ago is when he started not coming home, when he started acting weird. Interesting. So you ask questions about her. You ask, you're talking to her and you're asking her questions. And because, she says your husband's in a meeting, he'll be out in a little bit. So you got time to kill. You start asking her questions and she's like, yeah, I have so many hobbies that I love doing. I love surfing. I go out to the movies with my friends. I love going to the bars and clubs. And she asks you, what do you do? And you don't have anything to say. You take care of the kids and your husband. I like cooking, and I like cleaning. And she's like, That's cool. So then there's an awkward pause and you feel a sinking sensation in your stomach, and you realize that your husband has found so much more interest in somebody else, even though you're the one who's taking care of his kids, even though you're the one who's taking care of his household, even though you're the one who's making his meals and making sure that his backwater is running and this and that, right? He has totally completely forgotten about you and is now focused on Cynthia, the new hot pressure girl, okay? And you don't even remember the last time that you worked out or did your hair, okay? And that's what Leviathan does, okay? And now I understand why we might call Leviathan a demon. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I understand why we would consider Leviathan a demon for that. But when you start to look past the illusion, you will see that that's unconditional love. Leviathan is willing to create a scenario to spark you up, okay? To get your motor going, to get you thinking. All right, I want to have a hot body. I want to have hobbies. I want to have girlfriends and hang out. I want a man who's interested in me. You know what I'm saying? I want to look good. I want to wear makeup or I mean, I don't personally wear makeup, but I care about the way I look. I want to take care of my hair, my body, and my looks. And I want to work out, you know? I said that already, but you guys know what I mean, right? Like, so this is how the envy works. And not only that, you realize that your husband is a scumbag and you deserve better, because any husband that allows his wife to slave at home is okay with saying that, is okay with his husband losing, is okay with his wife losing herself and not looking the way that she wants anymore, and is saying that she's feeling stressed out and run down, overwhelmed and overworked, and who doesn't step in and help. You don't want to have a husband like that anyway. So you see, Leviathan is helping you kill two birds with one stone. So you experience that envy. You envy this woman, this new woman, Cynthia, who is young. She's giving, Queen of Wands energy. She's giving, I know myself and I cherish myself. I value myself and I'm decentering men. And yeah, like I don't care about men as much as I care about myself. Until I find that one person, I'm cool. And even when I find that one person, I'm going to be so balanced that I'm always going to take care of myself. I'm always going to put myself first, and I'm going to share, right, my world with somebody else, but I'm never going to make another person my world, right? And so that's an example of how Leviathan uses envy, the energy of envy and jealousy, to spark us into our healing journey, okay? But because we are in resistance, but because we have not been taught how to interpret these emotions, how to embody healing energy, how to dissect and grow from these scenarios, we get caught up and it's like, what I'm getting is like somebody being dragged across carpet and they are literally hooking their nails into the carpet, and so you can see the scratch marks on the carpet because somebody is so resistant to it. And that's where the pain comes in, right? Like, you as this housewife, you could be feeling like, oh my God, my husband, he's cheating on me, he doesn't like me, I've lost myself. And sometimes that part of the journey is healing for us. We need to express ourselves. We need to go through those emotions. But imagine becoming such an ascendant master that when you experience jealousy and envy, you automatically start to ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? What am I supposed to learn from this? What do I need to embody? Why am I feeling envious of this person? They have a job that love. They have a job that doesn't feel like a job. They have a job where they can, do what they love and get paid for it. I'm envious of that because I want that for myself. And then you transmute that energy as passion to go for whatever it is that you are envious of in your own life. You make it happen in your own life. Okay. For me, for example, when I was with my ex, and I found myself for the first time ever. Like I said, I had never experienced envy or jealousy when it came to anyone, right? But in my very late 20s, I was like 28, 29, I met my ex, and his ex was somebody who practiced yoga, she did sports, or she like skateboarded or something like that. And I found myself being envious of that, and like felt like he was into her, or he was into her because she did all of those things, and I wanted to embody those things, right? And I kicked and I screamed, and I was so embarrassed of myself. I felt so much shame for feeling envy and jealousy, right? But in actuality, that energy was being used to show me the direction that I'm meant to go in. And so I started becoming interested in sports. I became a freaking, I'm so great at yoga now. Like I know I've surpassed her. You know what I'm saying? Like I have surpassed her in my the amount of passion that was ignited within me, because I was so in love with him at the time, and I felt like he still had feelings for her. Even like it was such a mess, like don't even ask. It was a very toxic relationship, but I felt like he even still had feelings for her. And because of that, I wanted to know why was she so great? Why was he so into her? And I did my research, and I learned all these different things about her, and I embodied them. But I embodied them because that was what I was supposed to do anyway, okay? And I remember in the past, my guides had been trying to lead me to do yoga. They had been trying to lead me to do yoga, but I kind of ignored it, right? Because I didn't have that strong of a relationship with them then, and I didn't know all of the things that I do now. But now in hindsight, I realized that they were bringing in the heavy artillery, right? They were bringing in Leviathan, because I would not get with the program and do yoga. And because I was envious of that person, I started to do yoga because, yeah, I wanted to impress the person that I was with. But then I realized that yoga was so much more than that. I actually became a yogi, and now I embody the energy of yoga, which is always being in balance. Not always, but always being able to transition back into being balanced, and the breathing and the being flexible, even mentally flexible, right? Like all of these different concepts that I wouldn't have looked into had I not experienced that bout of envy, right? And jealousy at that time. So you see, like things that we can, and at the time, I thought I was being spiritually attacked, which I was being spiritually attacked. But, you know, I probably said to myself, like, what is this devilish demonic energy, you know, Leviathan? Or I didn't know about Leviathan then, but, you know, I could have said these things. But I'm glad that I faced my fear eventually, right? After all of the kicking and screaming, I faced my fear, and I said, man, okay, I do want to practice yoga. I do want to do certain sports. I do want to work out. All right. And there were other things that she embodied that I would like to embody too. And all of those things are still with me now. Right. And you know, the universe works in such a beautiful way. If only we could stop panicking and start realizing what our emotions and what certain scenarios are trying to teach us in the moment, we can actually become masters of our existence and begin to manifest these things even quicker, begin to manifest our purpose and our life paths quicker and smoother, right? Without resistance, without fear, right? Because that entire time I felt like I was being spiritually attacked, but I was safe the whole time. I just needed to realize what I was supposed to learn. And that's why I'm bringing this to you now. That's why Leviathan is being channeled through me now, because Leviathan wants us to be able to become ascended masters. He does this because of unconditional love. You know, it's not because he wants to hurt us or, you know, make us feel scared or fearful, even though that's part of the deal. That's kind of part of what we go through. We choose to suffer because we don't have any other experience in it, right? Like who else is talking about this stuff? Nobody teaches us how to handle envy and jealousy, but now you're hearing it from Leviathan yourself. So the next time you experience envy and jealousy, you'll be able to handle it like a badass. You'll be able to handle it like an ascendant master, okay? And really breathe through it and try to understand what it is that the universe is trying to hand you on a silver plate, because guess what? It's always for your benefit. It's always for the good of your benefit. All right. So yeah, I have talked enough. I've let you in on my own life as well and some of the things that I have experienced. I have experienced a lot of things. Okay, all of the things that I talk about on this channel, I had to go through in order to be able to convey the message to you all right? I love you all so very much. Leviathan says that he loves you as well, and the next time he shows up in your life, don't be afraid, don't be scared. Just take the lesson on the chin and try to understand what is happening, what is going on, and what it is that you need to work on internally in order to have a great outcome externally, right? Because the way that we change our external environment or upgrade our external environment is by upgrading or changing, evolving within. All right, because everything starts within. I love you all so very much. Please consider following me on all my socials that I will put up on the screen. Okay, because I post differently on all of my different social media. I'll always post the best on TikTok though. Like everything goes on TikTok first. So yeah, make sure you follow me on TikTok. Make sure you subscribe to this channel right here, and I will see you in the next video. Love you all. Creatrix out.